Yeah. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and a warm namaste to all our readers from India and from outside India. Welcome to another episode of the Author Show Season 2. Today on this episode, we have the author Manali Manan Desai this evening. I'll give a brief introduction of Manali, which is a very impressive introduction. Manali is a full-time freelance writer and editor cum blogger. Currently, apart from her ad hoc writing and editing assignments, Manali runs a blog and is also a partner with Pachyderm Tales. In her authoring journey, Manali has written and published 7 solo books, been a part of a few co-authored books, and has helped new and aspiring writers publish their books as well. Manali has been a multiple times best-selling author on Amazon, with all her books ranking in the top 10 in many categories. Her short story, The Walls Have Ears, helped her bag the Best Short Story Award in 2019. She has also won the Best Author Fiction Award and the Book of the Year title in 2021 for her debut novel, Love Triangle. Her short story titled The Unblind Date, which is a part of her Christmas special anthology, Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories, won the Best Story Prize in an online contest before the book's release in December 2021. Her latest novel, Love and Mellow Drama, is her second long-form fiction book and is a spin-off from her debut novel, Love Triangle. So welcome to the show, Manali. And it's a pleasure to have you here with us this evening on the Author Show, on the hot seat of the Author Show, Season 2.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome, Sanjay sir. It's a pleasure to be a guest on your show. Thank you for inviting me.
The feeling is mutual, Manali. So now, before we start, I would just like to understand one thing, and probably our readers, or some of the readers may also like to understand, what is the meaning of the word Manali?
So it is based on my understanding. It derives from the word Manu, which originates from Hindu mythology, and according to that myth, Manu was the first human being to be born on Earth, and the place where he was born, it was called Manali. So that's where the name derives from, and it also derives from Sanskrit, which means a thinker. So the basic meaning of the word Manu is somebody who's a thinker.
Okay. And so I also did a bit of a research on the Google, and Google threw up an interesting meaning. It said it's a bird. So
Okay.
so a thinking bird. I mean, I would say that, but would that explain your travel lust?
Yeah. I was about to say, I think that matches my personality because I am also a thinker, deep thinker, overthinker also you can say,
Okay.
and I like to travel also. So I think that matches 2 bits of my personalities very well.
Okay. So that's really wonderful. And so, where are you based currently, Manali? Are you still in Netherlands or?
Yes. I am based in the Netherlands. Yes.
Okay. And how many countries have you traveled?
I have actually lost count, but I think 15 so far.
15 so far. Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay. So, when did you start writing? Were you a writer since childhood or it came later?
So becoming a professional writer or an author, it is something I called a long process of elimination. I have been writing as a hobby since a teenager. I have been writing poetry since I was probably 12 or 13 years old. But at that time, I didn't have the understanding that this could become a profession also, like a lucrative profession, something that can monetized as well. I was raised in the 90s where, the thinking of the parents was that this is something which can only be pursued as a hobby. It cannot become a full time profession. though my parents never forced me to take up anything which I did not like. I was myself conditioned to believe that being a poet or a writer would not be as lucrative a profession as maybe probably doing an MBA or becoming a manager or having a corporate 9 to 5 job. So based on my understanding, I did not pursue it as something that can be something that can earn me money. So I took up commerce after my 10th standard, and I did my BBA, then I did my MBA, and after doing my MBA I also did a couple of jobs where I realized this is not something which is going to make me happy. So I took up MA in English literature. After completing my MBA, I completely changed my educational line also. So I pursued my MA in English literature, and after that I became a teacher for a while, for 1 year, and even that was not as happiness inducing as I wanted to be, as I expected. So after that was something that I took up a content writing job, full time content writing job, and that's when you can say that professional writing began.
Okay, okay. I mean, that's a wonderful evolutionary journey, I would say, and I mean, you are pursuing your own passion. I
Yes.
think that is what matters quite a lot. Now, how did you get into writing full-length novels from being an editor and a blogger?
So I have always been books and reading and love for the language is something which has always been stuck to me since I picked up my first book. I never stopped. I started reading from when I was 8 years old, and not a day has gone by when I have not read a couple of pages. So my love for reading, I would say, attracted me towards becoming a writer myself, writing, weaving stories of my own. I started writing poetry at a very young age, but I was always unsure of how to go about long form fiction writing. I began with short form fiction writing in 2016. I wrote my first short story, and it was received very well. Though I did not have the courage or the understanding to, turn it into a book at that point. I was only writing for myself and a few of my friends. But the kind of response that it got slowly developed into a bit of confidence. I was able to, bring them together as a form of short stories collection, and that took about 4 to 5 years. In 2016, I wrote my first short story, and in 2020, I finally built up the courage to bring them together in the form of a book. So that's how it began.
Okay, yeah, and I'm sure glad that you got into long form writing also. I have so far read your the debut novel Love Triangle, and I enjoyed reading it absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Now, out of all these genres that you are writing in, I mean, I should not call it genres. All the forms of writing that you are into, which is your preferred writing? Blogs, short stories, poetry, or novels?
So I have only written two novels so far, and they have been the most taxing for me as an author, because they take away so much from you that at the end of it you are like, "हाँ हो गया अभी." I need a thoda sa break. And with other forms of writing, I have never felt that way, because probably I have done them for a longer period of time than I have done novel writing. So out of all these, if I have to pick one, it will always be hands down poetry, because that is something I have done for the longest period of time, and it comes very naturally to me. It doesn't feel like work when I'm writing poetry. It doesn't feel like I'm putting in much effort.
Okay. I mean, probably that is because you write poetry. You love writing poetry. I mean, for me, it is the most difficult form of writing because to express yourself in those few lines somehow for me it's a very difficult kind of a work altogether.
I'm Yeah.
So in your different writings, in your short stories and your novels also, what are the, have you tried out different genres or you have worked around a single genre itself? I mean, what are the genres that you have written?
So far in my poetry, I have always been. So initially, I used to be of the thinking I come belong to the old school poetry writing, generation where we were we grew up on Shakespeare and Robert Frost. So we were of the understanding that if we are writing a poetry, it has to have a rhyming scheme. The end word has to rhyme with the previous word, previous line's last word. So that's the kind of understanding I had for poetry. For a very long time, I stuck to that form, and I used to, write poems and lines which used to rhyme with each other only. Took me a long time to understand abstract and non-linear form of poetry that doesn't stick to any form or rhyming pattern, and that is something that I have stuck by for the last couple of years. For the past 2 3 years, I have only written abstract poetry, which doesn't stick to a form or rhyming scheme. Besides that, if we talk about fiction, long and short form of fiction, I have written slice of life stories only. I have not gone out of these genres so far. But having said that, I am working on a thriller story and I'm really excited about it. I am hoping that it will convert into something which I can put out into the world very soon.
Okay,
And
wonderful.
my
Yeah.
novels, they are both romance. They are both out and out rom-com novels.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. Yes. Okay. But I'm, I'd certainly be looking forward to your thriller because that will be a different genre altogether. And let's see how
Yes.
you have written that. That will be really interesting to see. What is your writing process, Manali?
So for me, if I don't write something on a particular day, it feels like I have not utilized my time and energy. So even on a day like this, today is a Sunday, and typically for most people it would be a day off, and they wouldn't think about sitting down on the computer or doing something, or logging into their work, or doing anything, checking mails or anything. But for me, even on a Sunday, if I'm not, picking up my phone and jotting down at least a certain ideas, that becomes like, आज कुछ किया नहीं, अधूरा रह गया है, that
Right.
feeling. So
Okay.
generally, the process that I follow is, if even on an off day an idea comes to me, I at least note it down.
Okay.
Yeah, I note it down on my computer, or if I don't have my computer with me, I will make a note of it on my notepad or in my phone. And then whenever the time permits, or whenever I'm sitting down on my computer where I'm logged into work, it's a typical work day for me, I will start concretely developing that idea. And that I keep going back to it again and again till it becomes something which I am satisfied of. First I need to be satisfied with it, then I will send it out to somebody who's trustworthy, and I'll ask them for feedback, and ask them whether it is good enough to be published as a blog post or as a short fiction, or something that can be put together in a book. So generally it starts with outlining the idea first, then I start working on it myself, and then I send it out to someone who's trustworthy, who will give me the proper feedback, and then it becomes, comes out as a blog post or a poem, or a book or anything else.
So, how long does it take you from the day that you have first started, or you have put first word on paper, till the time it gets converted into eventually into a book? How long does it take? How many iterations does it go through? How many drafts do you create?
So for the let's talk about the latest novel itself, because that's something which has been published, and something latest which I have worked upon. Uh, from the ideation to the final publishing process, it took me about almost 2 years.
Oh,
The idea, no, the writing process took very short, but the ideation to the first draft, it that took a lot of time, because there were certain things that happened from the ideation to the writing process which delayed the actual writing, beginning of the writing. So when my first novel came out, Love Triangle, which was in 2021, March 2021, and I started getting a lot of feedback related to one particular character from that book, which was particularly loved very much. Besides the three main characters, of course, which was a supporting character in that novel, and the character was named Gayatri Kulkarni, who was the best friend of the lead female protagonist, and she received a lot of love. People wanted to know more about her and how her story, came about. So the ideation came in October 2021, that I want to write a story around Gayatri also. The book came out in March 2021. The idea for writing Gayatri's story came in October 2021. And from October 2021, when I started actually writing Gayatri's story, it was in October 2022. It took me 1 year from ideation to actually begin writing it. And from October, you can say 6 to 7 months, because the book came out in April. So yeah, about 6 months from the actual writing to the actual publishing process. And within that period, I think we must have I am somebody who goes chapter by chapter. I involve my beta readers from the beginning. I'm not somebody who is, will write the entire novel first and then send it to beta readers. I am somebody who will go chapter by chapter. So when I started writing it, from the first chapter itself, I started sending it out to my beta readers to know how we are progressing, to see, how we are progressing and whether we are going on the right track. So from October to March, uh, in about 15th March, the first draft was completely ready. And from there, from October to March, we must have undergone at least 5 stages of editing already. Uh, till, till the time the first draft was ready, within that time itself, we were, not only writing the fresh perspectives into the story, but we were also editing as we went. So already 4 to 5 stages of editing were done while we were writing the story. But from March to April, since from the first draft to the time we published it, uh, another 3 rounds of editing went into it. So you can say total 8 rounds of editing went into the writing and the publishing process.
Right.
As I said, from ideation to first writing it, it was 1 year, and from October till April, till the time I published it, at least 8 rounds of editing I can recall. Must have been more, but eight are something that I can recall.
Right, right. No, it's a very, I would not call it a tiresome process, but it's a very extensive process that
Yes.
most of the writers go through. And in fact, that is what shows, that is what reflects in the final product that eventually
Yes.
comes out. You spoke about your next project being a thriller. Would you like to reveal a bit about or tease us a bit about what the story is about?
I don't want to give out too much, but I just want to say you can expect it, if everything goes as per my plan, you can expect it on Halloween. So you can guess what it can be around.
Okay, that reminds me of an Agatha Christie, the Halloween party. So,
So I have been planning to bring out a horror thriller story during the spooky month, as we call it here. In India, it's not much prevalent, but in Europe and USA, Halloween is a very popular time for such stories to be brought out. So I have had that idea to work on a Halloween story for a long time, and I'm really excited about the project. Let's hope everything goes as per plan. But I also want to reveal something, that before that, I will be bringing out one more poetry collection in August, mostly July, August.
okay. Looking forward. So, would you, we would request you to read any of your favorite poetries that you have written, A, and B, any excerpt from your latest book,
Sure,
or
sure.
any book, any book that that you would like to read.
Let's read out from the latest one only, because it's also fresh in my mind and it's doing really well on Amazon.
Yeah.
So that would be a good idea, I think. And first, I will read out a poetry from my collection, which is called Mindful Musings and Peaceful Ponderings. The poetry book is titled Mindful Musings and Peaceful Ponderings. I will read out a poem from that. Just give me a second. I'll open the book. I think we had a question from somebody in the chat.
Let me go through it.
So this is the uh, book cover, Mindful Musings and Peaceful Ponderings. It's a collection of 50 poems, which focus on human emotions. And now I'm going to read out the poem which focuses on the emotion of anxiety. So this particular poem that I'm going to read out, it focuses on the emotion of anxiety, and it is titled Hello Old Friend. It goes, we haven't properly met. Since that time, I managed to speak about myself through trembling speech and body in front of my batchmates. But you do show up every now and then. Like yesterday, when somebody asked me, do you consider yourself successful? And I hesitated just a bit before going on to explain what success means to me. Or that day, a few months ago, when someone said, I don't believe people are paying you for this. And I felt a blow to my ego, but quickly recovered as I reminded myself that one person's opinion didn't matter. I also faintly recall you popping up in between my deadlines and ongoing tasks, making me doubt if I'll be able to deliver. But I'm too focused and stubborn now to let you deter me from my goal. Do I miss you? No, because you are still very much there. We have been friends for too long, my dear Mr. Anxiety. But it has been a while for sure, because you are in me and a part of me. However, your nemesis, Mr. Self Confidence, is doing just a tad better lately.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. And
Thank you so much.
so, yeah, we now I would throw you to Vardhan Dharkar,
Okay.
who is the co-host and who is going to be asking a few rapid fire questions. Let me add the spotlight on him.
Before we do that,
Yeah.
would you like me to read out from the latest novel as well? A
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
few
Yes.
passages?
Yes. Certainly.
Hi.
Vardhan,
Hello.
You
just
can hear?
Hello, sir.
yeah. So Vardhan, please hold on. Manali would read an excerpt from her latest novel.
So this is my latest novel, Love and Melodrama. It's a rom-com novel, and I'm just going to read out a few passages from the prologue itself. So the prologue starts like this. Life can be boring or exciting depending on how you choose to live each moment. Gayatri Kulkarni. Ja, Simran ja, जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. The girl spoke louder than the actor who uttered the dialogues on screen. Her voice carried so much emotion that one could think it was her own life story being portrayed in the movie. She was bouncing in her seat and cheered for the female actor who began chasing the train, which was slowly moving away from from the platform. Come on, Simran, run faster. Yes, girl, you can do this. Her enthusiasm made those around her look at her, either in amusement or in irritation. As soon as the actress was able to board the train and be in the arms of her beloved, she jumped out of her seat. She whistled, clapped, and cheered on, blowing kisses toward the on screen couple as they set off together into the sunset. So, this is how the story begins.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone who's an Indian knows which movie we are talking about.
Yes. Okay. So over to you, Vardhan and Manali, for your rapid fire round.
Thank you. So we start the rapid fire round. And the first question is, if you were to be reborn, which character from your books you would like to be reborn as and why?
Okay, Sanjay sir would know the character that I'm about to say. She's Aisha Banerjee from my debut novel, and I would like to be reborn as her because I relate to her story somewhat, but unlike me, she had some interesting people around her when she moved to Mumbai. So I would like to be reborn as her.
If your life were a book, what would be the title and why?
Hmm. I think Priyanka Chopra's biography title that would go well with my story because I'm also still unfinished. I'm I'm not done yet.
Okay. If you were a punctuation mark, which one would you be and why?
Colon. I mean a semicolon. Uh, not. I don't know if you are aware because semicolon also indicates somebody who has struggled with a mental illness or with anxiety. So I myself have anxiety issues, so that would define me well. A semicolon.
Okay. Okay. Can you share a funny writing ritual or a superstition that you follow or believe in?
It's not funny, but it's funny for the people who live with me, especially my husband. I When I'm stuck on something, I am unable to go to sleep, and it's really it's sometimes scary and sometimes uh, irritating for him because he goes to sleep at a decent hour like most human beings, and I'm still working on my laptop. All the lights are off, and when he gets up at night, he sometimes gets spooked because the whole room is in darkness and there's only one beam of light coming out of my laptop screen. And he's like, what is wrong with you?
Okay.
Okay. If you could co-write a book with any other author, dead or alive, who will it be?
Sudha Murthy. Either Sudha Murthy or Ruskin Bond. Any of these two, because I love the way they write, and also because somebody who has read my books, all of my books, they told me once that my writing, they find hints of Sudha Murthy's writing in my stories as well, because they are very simple and yet they are very relatable. So, which is something I feel for Sudha Murthy's
Okay.
writing.
The best compliment that you have ever received?
In 2020, when I released my first collection of short stories, The Art of Being Grateful and Other Stories, uh, it was a very difficult time, as you might all be aware that in 2020 we all had the global lockdown and we were going through tough times, all of us. And I
Yeah.
released my book in July 2020, and we were just beginning to get back to normal. And when my book came out, in about a week or 10 days after its release, I received an Instagram message which said that, I was feeling very low, and I probably would have harmed myself or done something to, uh, that might
Oh,
have caused me and the people around me some trouble, but your book gave me the courage to go on. That was like the best compliment I could have received on my writing. And also because
absolutely.
in my excerpt itself in the book, in the forward of that book, I had written that, if my stories can make someone feel better about themselves, that means my job is done. So receiving that message was like, very cathartic for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever based a character on someone you know well and secretly hope that that person will find out?
No, not yet, but I'm sure that that would be
Okay.
fun to do. I have named a few characters based on the people I know, but never have I based their personalities on those characters.
Okay. What comes first? Title of the book or the book itself?
For me, definitely title. I'm sure Sanjay sir must be aware of it. That
What comes
most
first?
title, definitely. As Sanjay sir might be aware, most of my book
Title.
titles are very
Okay.
catchy and they are tongue twisters also. So for me, title matters as much as the content of the book.
Okay. Then what is the most funniest or outrageous feedback you have received from a reader?
So this was very funny. It's related to my debut novel, Love Triangle, and in that particular uh, book, the it doesn't have a very cliched happy ending, which we are generally used to reading in books and watching in movies and shows. It has an unconventional ending, and towards the end of the story, I tried to include the supporting characters also in the main story. And one of the reviewers, they wrote in the review that in the end it felt like the story was not about the central characters but about the supporting characters. And we are reading their story instead of we are the characters we are supposed to root for. So that made me laugh because I have always been someone who grew up believing and loving the stories where the supporting characters are equally important, if not as important as the main characters. So when somebody said that, I was like, yeah, we have always love stories which are inclusive, which feels like a wholesome read. And I was trying to do that in my book, and them saying this was really funny for me.
Yeah. Yeah. The last question. Complete the sentence. Writing is
Therapeutic. For me, as I was mentioning earlier, not a day goes by when I don't jot down a couple of lines. It feels incomplete. Even if I'm not, doing it for publishing it, I feel like I have not, completed a ritual of sorts, that everyday habit of sorts where, I have not jotted down something. Lately, I've also developed the practice of maintaining a gratefulness journal where, I write down one particular thing where during the entire day, what did I feel the most grateful for? So that habit has also helped me a lot to improve my writing skills, because I don't write non-fiction much, and this is definitely non-fiction because I'm writing from my own experience. So that has become like therapeutic at a whole different level.
Oh.
So congratulations, you have passed with flying colors.
Thank you
Well done.
so much. That means a lot.
Thank you, Vardhan. Thank you so much.
And we are looking forward to many more books and poems from you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vardhan. Thank you so much. So that's it, and we are now closing. If you have any questions, we have one quick question we can take. We have about a couple of minutes. Or otherwise, Manali is available on all the social media, and she is very easily accessible. So you can always approach her with your queries about her writing, about what she's writing, what she's going to be writing about. So that's it. Thank you, readers and viewers, for joining us this evening. Please do read Manali's books and do share your reviews, because reviews are very important for an author. There are so many of her books, I would not name just any single one, but you should read all her books. They are very lovely, interesting books. And so that's it from us at for this episode of the Author Show Season 2. Please do look out for the notification about the next author show and the next author who's going to be on our episode. Thank you so much, Manali. Thank you for being here with us this evening, and wish you all a very happy and enjoyable Sunday evening.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye.